Good evening, everybody. In the world that we have here this evening, it is once again time to race. It's Tier 3. It's the first of our sprint weekends, and it is time for the brand new format to take place. You will see them on the grid here momentarily. If I can just go ahead and make sure everything is all set up, ready to go. It looks like it is. And they will be formulating strategies and setups on the grid. Reverse championship order here tonight. Qualifying, don't need it here around the Bahrain International Circuit. It will be a 25% race to start our evening. Following that, a 50% race. Based on the results of this sprint race, it should be a fine and dandy evening, as it always is. Here in round number 4, do believe we are just about to get underway. 17 drivers participating in tonight's session. It should be a fun one indeed. Let me make sure you are receiving this properly. Go ahead, restart that. Simply lovely. That should be doing its thing here shortly. Dear God, we do indeed hope. Nevertheless, we're just about to get underway here. We've got 17 on the grid. We are missing one of the McLarens. We are missing a V-carb. We are missing, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, one of the Ferraris are both here. The Aston Martin. No, the Aston Martins are here. The Red Bulls are here. The Ferraris are here. The Mercedes are here. We'll find out who isn't here momentarily, as we are just about to get up and underway. As you hear the dinging and donging there, it is time to get racing here in Bahrain. It's 14 laps. That's lights out and away we go. Dylan on the front row. There you see he leads them down the start. Pigeon now into second place. He's made a move. They're 3 wide heading into turn 1. The 2 Ferraris getting entangled with each other. The McLaren has gone round, and it looks so far to be a scruffy start, but nevertheless, we'll go ahead and get those tire choices up for you. If you're asking why the things are not working on the side, I don't know either. It's got to be something to do with my telemetry, as my game decided to break itself earlier. Nevertheless, we will go ahead and get everything recorded as normal. Already, there is a 1-second gap out to the front, and you would have to imagine that is going to close up rather quickly. Hicks and that Aston Martin starting on the medium tire, falling back through the field ever so slightly. Dylan and Pigeon have gotten themselves ahead up in front. Frenny starting all the way near the back of the grid has definitely had better luck than his teammate. Into 5th position goes the Ferrari, who started so far down. And he's making moves here early on. That soft compound tire, favored by many, is making inroads here already. Hicks now 1.5 seconds back, but he is leading a train of just about the rest of the field. The other Ferrari 7, 3 seconds back of Capex, the championship leader, as just finding himself at the back of this train. And look at that Aston Martin weave around, trying to break the slipstream. Is Pigeon going to have a little look on the Williams? Not this time around. There might be moves for 4th position. It's Frenny looking to make the move. There's moves further down the grid. Mark has got past the Haas of Mo. Into 8th he goes. More moves down the grid. Capex getting a move done on the Alpine of Miggy. Overtakes everywhere. So important, this sprint race here. Just on our second lap of 14. We've got Ascension, the man tumbling down the field. The V-carb seemingly finding itself in a spot of bother, finding himself all the way down into 16th position. Not the start that he will have wanted, but a very long evening ahead of us. Santi as well has dropped back to his teammate as Capex continues to make inroads up the field now. Into 13th goes the Mercedes, and still within DRS of the Kick Sauber in front. Frenny has gotten past Young for Ferrari. into 4th place and chasing down now the Aston Martin, who is 2 seconds back of the lead pair. Dylan and Pigeon just going to need to work together here to just clear themselves out. This grid, however it finishes, will set the final order. We'll set the grid for the future race. So go ahead, you look and try to make some moves as Pigeon. There you go, fastest lap of the race. He's going to be a little bit too far back, I think, to make a move. He's going to try. Around the outside goes the Red Bull. The Williams defends to the inside. Can he get the drive out of the corner? Doesn't look like it's going to be this time for the Red Bull. Collisions at the back here. There's a Mercedes spinning round. That's the Mercedes of Young, who's facing the wrong direction out of turn 2. His teammate now into 10th position. Had a coming together with the Aston Martin. Nearly avoids as there's 7, who's also gone spinning. Plenty of collisions out of turn 2 as Frenny now looking to have a move on the Aston Martin. Into the hairpin they go. Nothing doing on that occasion from the Ferrari, who is absolutely storming up this field. 1.5 seconds now. The gap, the medium tire just starting to creep back into the window that he might like at the Solz compound tire. Maybe not at its best anymore here on lap number 3 of 14. Where else can we look to find battles? This is the battle for 9th position as Capex has cleared the kick salva of Brick Brown. The newly promoted man, having to start at the back, has made significant inroads. The newly promoted man from Tier 4 getting his second start in Tier 3. He's getting the job done here so far for Mason and his crew. Elsewhere, this is once again the battle for 3rd position. Freddy has dropped the trailing Aston Martin and can attack the lead Aston Martin. Hicks into turn 1. Pigeon and Dylan are still fighting for the lead of this race. He's got the move done. The Red Bull into the lead of the race goes the Red Bull. Meanwhile, Frenny has gotten past Hicks in that Aston Martin. They're still doing it out into turn 4. Dylan and Pigeon are wheel to wheel almost, heading down into the S's, but not to be this time around for the Williams. He will have to console himself for 2nd position as of now. Frenny has just gotten clear and will try to regain the DRS on the front 2, something that's not been done over the first 3 laps. They've done very well to separate themselves, but how much tire life does the Ferrari have left on those soft compound tires? That remains to be seen. Meanwhile, Capex has gotten past the kick salva of Brick Brown. However, he is 1.7 seconds adrift of the Haas in front, and Brick Brown is all over the rear spoiler of that Mercedes as they head up the hill once again into the 3rd and final sector. Now they go as Mo is the first recipient this evening of a 3-second time penalty. You'll see them scattered about here in Bahrain, but it's not always likely that you will see a ton of them. Where else can we find battles? Elsewhere onto the track. There goes Hicks. He's got the DRS. He's flashing the red light. No energy needed for this overtake. He's past the Ferrari. How can Freddy hang on to this 3rd position? They bang wheels heading into turn 2. Quickly becomes turn 3. And Mark is going to have a little look at this one as well. Into 4th position now for the Williams as Exception gets a 10-second time penalty. Down the inside goes the Williams. They make contact with the Ferrari. And it didn't look like a move that was ever going to come off for Mark there. He does well to keep the Aston Martin of Hicks behind, whose medium tires now, both Aston Martins on the medium tire, looking a bit more racy here on lap number 5 as they continue their charge up the field. Hicks and NASCAR Freak currently sat astern in 5th and 6th. Dylan and Pigeon continuing to keep each other for company as Mark has the rear wing open once more on the Ferrari. Might be a little bit too far back to make a move on this occasion. Elsewhere, though, we continue to watch this battle for 8th position. And how critical could it be for Kick Salva to start ahead of the favorite for the championship in Capex, as Zonad making a few moves. Remember, he started in 2nd position but had that lap 1 incident and saw himself spinning off, continuing to improve his race. Now up into P11 as Capex is going to have to defend here from the Kick Salva. Brown maybe having a little look at the final corner. Nothing doing on that occasion. Meanwhile, Mark has the rear wing open and blowing past the Ferrari now as he tries to defend the outside line. Does the Ferrari? Can the Williams get into the top three? It looks like he's got it just about done. Will he have the DRS as well? No. The Ferrari doesn't have DRS either. They're both under attack from the Aston Martin, who has to just hold position for the time being. But there goes Freddie around the outside. The Ferrari trying to get that move done. Hicks as well having a little look at the Williams, but it's Freddie that comes out ahead. The Ferrari taking back third position that he had held once before. Mark just dueling it out, and you would have to imagine now it's hang on to the tires as we've got a kick Sauber that is not having the greatest of times. That looks like it's Aero Knight who spun out at the exit of turn 5. An interesting place to lose the car there. Mark looking at the inside again of Freddie, and that's probably one of the easier moves he'll do this evening, but back comes the Ferrari. This time not close enough for an immediate response. The American just having to hold station for the time being. Elsewhere on track, we've got a battle for 8th position roaring on, but this is providing us action-packed racing as things stand. Pigeon and Dillon continue to just try to negotiate themselves for the lead of this sprint, as into the pit lane goes the Williams of Dillon. So Mark, courtesy of that, if he was planning on heading into the pit lane, isn't going to be able to now. Tries to defend to the inside. Freddie to the inside. Hicks maybe to the outside as well. They didn't go 3 wide. Is Hicks going to have a little look at all of this? He does just that. Through goes the Aston Martin. And what a move it is from the man on the medium tires, showing that he has the grip. There goes Freddie trying to defend the inside line into turn 4. The Williams trying to keep the grip on the outside. They're still wheel to wheel heading into turn 6. Who has the better drive? Who's got the better tires? The Williams for the time being. Looks like he has just that. Will Freddie have a little look down the inside? He might just maybe thought about sticking a wing down the inside of the Williams. These two have given us phenomenal racing here so far, but it's Hicks who's coasted off into the distance. Freddie down the inside again. The Ferrari continuing to apply the pressure. They bang wheels on the exit. The Ferrari with the rear wing open as Mark continuing to just try to show him to the inside, looping around the outside as they head now into the final corner of this middle sector. It's Mark who's just about hung on to that position, but for how much longer? The constant barrage of attacks from the Ferrari may have just subsided for the time being. The gaps and spread out ever so slightly as our first round of pit stops have hit. Everyone from 1st to 7th now yet to come into the pit lane, and just like that, here you see it. Hicks into the pit lane, Mark into the pit lane, Freddie into the pit lane as well. The top 5 all pitting here on lap number 8. This is going to be a little bit close. Young into the pit lane as well. So Mercedes calling their man in addition to all of this. CapEx pitting the lap prior. You would have to imagine that Dillon in that Williams now will reassume the lead of this race, but where will the rest of the field filter in? Hicks is going to have the benefit of that soft tire. He only needs to go 6 more laps on the red-walled tire in order to make it to the end. He could be the fastest man on track, currently in 4th position, but for how much longer? Zonon, the only man yet to pit in this race. That hard compound tire paying dividends so far. Likely into the pit lane here shortly for the lone McLaren here this evening. Mark now has his old friend Freddie right behind him again. Fresh medium tires for both the Williams and the Ferrari. NASCAR Freak, the man behind them, it was Hicks at one point. Now is the other Aston Martin. However, a 3-second time penalty to NASCAR Freak is certainly going to hinder his evening. Mark just hanging back, and Freddie is going to take that as an invite to go ahead and continue to close in on the Williams as they head up the hill here into the final sector for the 8th time of 14 in this sprint race. As that is a Haas that has been stricken in the third DRS sector, that is, in the middle sector. You see on the right-hand side of your screen there. Didn't quite make it through the corner. Meanwhile, this is Hicks getting the move done on Pigeon, who'd had second place for so long. Might just have to settle for the top three. Frenny and Mark are back wheel to wheel. It's always a stand-up occasion between these two, but Freddie once again back into fifth position. Mark gonna have a little look around the outside. They bang wheels heading into turn 5. The long swooping corner not helping out for the Williams at this moment in time, but I would imagine that Mark is certainly not done with that position as of yet. Elsewhere, CapEx has moved into 7th position. That is the Aston Martin of NASCAR Freaks spinning on the entrance to the hairpin, losing position after position. We didn't exactly catch as to how, but nevertheless, a disappointing sprint so far for the trailing Aston Martin, but his teammate has done an exquisite job. Into the top 3 at the moment is Hicks on that soft tire, looking maybe if he's got just enough pace and life in those tires to catch the Williams, who is provisionally out front once the McLaren of Zonod heads into the pit lane, which he won't do here to start lap number 10. Elsewhere, Frenny and Mark, wouldn't you know it, are resuming their battle as they will head across the line. Hicks, fastest man on the track. We mentioned it before that he was likely to be pretty quick on that soft compound tire. He's just that. Mark ahead now into 5th position. Is Frenny going to fight this one back down the inside? Already clear of the Ferrari is the Williams. And into 5th position again he goes. Meanwhile, this battle for 7th might just be heating up here a little bit. Brick Brown is all over the rear end of the Haas behind. They both have the rear wing open, but around the outside, not this time, but he's going to have a huge drive on the Haas as they exit the corner, but nothing doing on that occasion from the Kick Sauber. Not able to get the move done. Not enough room on the track. You would imagine Brick Brown's got the pace in order to get past this Haas that he's almost pushing out of the hairpin as they head down the hill. Brick Brown gonna have a look to the inside. This is a risky move here. They just keep it clean. It looks like the Kick Sauber's got the move done. No, he doesn't, having to stay behind the Haas. Didn't quite have the move that he needed. Now looking to the inside, but nothing doing there. Santi really having to defend from Brick Brown here, but all of this battling is giving the room that CapEx might need just to go ahead and wrap up 7th position. If he can wrap up 7th position, he'll be in great shape for the race. There goes Brick Brown down the inside into the final corner. They bang wheels on the entrance to the corner as Zonon now into the pit lane, and Hicks now into the lead of this race. He now leads the sprint here on lap number 11. The soft compound tires paying dividends here at the tail end of this sprint. Dylan still within DRS range. Had actually a really nice run there, but couldn't quite get it done. Frenny and Mark, meanwhile, are resuming their battle once more. However, the Williams has just caught the rear end of the Red Bull. Elsewhere on track again in 7th position, Santi holds on once more to Brick Brown as he keeps the Kick Sauber behind for the time being, but for how long is the question here on lap number 11. There won't be too many opportunities that they could possibly have as Zonon from 11th, now on the soft compound tire, is going to look to just make a couple moves at the end of this race to maybe improve his starting position. We head into the feature race at the conclusion of this one here. We've got a battle now for the top 3 that is now a top 5 as Mark has just pulled within a second. That'll help secure 4th position over the Ferrari of Frenny. So they just look to carry on here on lap number 12. Does Hicks have the tire left in that Aston Martin to make a difference? And he hold on for yet another 3 laps. They won't be feeling great. He's definitely used the best of them. Pigeon is under attack from the Williams. The Red Bull to the inside, the Williams to the outside. Nothing doing on that occasion Frenny has been dropped as well. 1.4 second, 1.3 seconds. Now just about a second as Mark gets the move done on the Red Bull. It's second and third as things stand for the Williams. It's a great result here in the sprint, as they've done an incredible job, Williams, to get this team in order. And their man Mark, who is definitely one of the favorites for the Drivers' Championship here this season, is certainly staking his claim to that. Into third position he goes, but he's still got the Red Bull for a little bit of company. Meanwhile, Zonod has improved his position from 11th out of the pit lane. He started on the hard compound tire, onto the soft now for the McLaren, and into 9th position he goes, and it's still a couple laps. It's 4 seconds to Brick Brown just up the road. We'll see if he's able to make any more moves. His progress might just be hampered by the remaining laps of this session. We direct our eyes once more to this. Is the battle for what is pole position, as Mark is going to go ahead, sail past his teammate. How hard will Dylan fight this one? Not very at all. Very cooperative as a teammate is the former McLaren driver. Is now racing for Williams here this season. Into third he goes, his teammate looking to secure pole position and a bucket load of points as we head into the feature race. 50% of the race distance coming up right after this. EX now is just starting to lose time to the Williams behind. That switch that they did was definitely calculated. They feel as though Mark can catch the Aston Martin leading out front. How much longer will those soft compound tires hang on? Will he be able to just hold it? Mark to the inside, might have the move done. Hicks taking the outside line. They race up the hill. That was a huge move from the Williams. I don't think anyone really expected that, but right on the heels now is the Williams of Mark on the medium tire. He might just have a little more grip at this stage of the race as we are just about to head into the final quarter. Mark last on the late brakes. Gets the move done into the final quarter. The Williams up into the lead of this race. There you see the Ferrari as well, looking to move into 4th position as well. But how is that Ferrari in a straight line? Go ahead and just wait and see. The Ferrari can't quite make the move. Hicks back into the lead of this one here on the final lap of this sprint. They don't want to have a huge coming together just yet. It's Mark with the DRS. He's got that rear wing open, but it's not going to matter on this occasion. Hicks still, for the time being, getting pushed almost by Mark, and now Freddy into 3rd place. Down the S as they go for the final time in the sprint. This top 5 is proven to be a very, very lovely watch. Down the inside goes Pigeon on Dylan, and that move didn't quite come off. Was immediately overtaken again by the Williams that is trailing his teammate. The gaps out front. Look at this. Mark has the move done once again as the Williams just now races into the final DRS zone. If he can withstand this, it would be huge to his claim to pole position. He does just that. Up the hill they go. Frenny might just have a little look. We know how aggressive the Ferrari man likes to be. Is he going to do just that as they go wheel to wheel out of a corner you rarely see take place? Frenny looking to put his Ferrari on the front row, has the inside line, doesn't quite have the straight line speed. Looking to the inside once more. He breaks the latest. Freddy can't quite get the move done. Maybe sent Hicks off the circuit. It's Mark who wins here in the sprint. Hicks will come in 2nd place. Freddy will have to settle for 3rd. Dylan finishes 4th. Pigeon for 5th. Capex getting the move done for 6th position. Brick Brown spinning on the final corner, and he's going to see himself start at 11th position. A 10-second time penalty. A NASCAR freak for ignoring a yellow flag. That's certainly one to look at, I'm sure. Meanwhile, 7 comes across the line. That 10-second time penalty to Exception is not going to help his evening coming up. Nevertheless, we continue to wait on the Haas of Mo, the last man to come across the line. He will start in 18th in our feature race on the way. And because none of my telemetry apparently got set up properly, I will go ahead and just give things a little smack in the rear. That takes place. And Ted, do not leave the session. Ted, do not leave the session. Please don't leave the session, Ted. That would be really bad. Go ahead and get all of this here. Look at some of these, by the way. Capex coming from 14th to finish in 6th. Mark starting in 15th. Fastest lap. The only man in the 129s on the grid. 15th to go into pole position. Let's go ahead. Life just slightly easier. No, but give it a try. Where else can we look? I do believe now. Just await the conclusion of whatever this timer is. There it goes. Oh. And up. Set the grid nice and easy. Olay. Baby. Alrighty then. That all nice and set up. Great. All right. I will put you back to the start screen while we get Ted back in the lobby, and I can go ahead and read once more. Back in a moment. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bahrain. And I don't think I've ever seen this before. I'm just gonna let the images speak for itself, because what on earth am I seeing on my screen currently? Why am I seeing rain in Bahrain? I mean, I get it's got rain in the name, but like, it's the desert. Well, I don't think I've ever seen a wet race around here. Um, uh, I've, I've got no words for this one, actually. This is hilarious. I'm, well, speechless for the most part, but, um, laughing for the second part, I think is fair to say. I don't know if we just decided to catch, the Bahrainis on a weekend when they just get that much rain. Oh, and it does appear as though we have readied up a little bit early, so we are going to get reacquainted with this field rather quickly, as we are just about ready to go. We've got 29 laps in the rain here in Bahrain. You see the intermediate tire now there for everyone. Mark gets a good start, and into the lead he goes. There's an Aston Martin being sent all the way across the track. Thankfully, he ghosted. That would have been absolutely horrendous to start this race. Mark is now into the lead here. There's two off at the back. That is the, looks like a Haas and maybe the Racing Bull of Deception. They have not had a good evening here to start things off in Tier 3. We're on board now with the Williams of Dylan as he tries to make a move into the corner, and then to the hairpin they go. That intermediate tire, I can't imagine much wet practice has been done around this track. As there you see the Mercedes, that's Capex. Capex is headed off the track, and he is going to be relegated just a couple positions down the field once more. The two Alpines into 9th and 10th they go. Young has begun to separate from the top four. The two Williams looking very pacey here, but Frenny, as we know, a tough customer to get rid of as usual. Capex has Santi and Zonad for company in 6th position. The wet weather doesn't seem to suit the Mercedes here so far. He's very much under pressure from the Haas, as is Miggy from 7 behind, as 7 looks to make that move on Brick Brown. And then it kicks out, but just a little tentative on the exit there. Is that going to give the Ferrari the pace that he needs, the confidence that he needs to get the move down the straight? Peeling to the inside, the Red Bull having maybe a little look as well. They try to go 3 wide. Schirmer trying to maybe interject himself in a conversation that wasn't meant for him. Slowly into turn 1 they go. The Ferrari with the inside line. The kick Salva regains that once more, holding on to 11th position as of now. Elsewhere, back up into 5th position, it's Capex, Santi, Zonaz, Ted, and Miggy all fighting it out here to stake their final claim into the top 5. As it stands, it's a great day at Williams, but can Mark hang on to this lead of the feature race as we head into the middle of lap number 2? Does Frenny have the wet weather pace in order to overtake the Williams? That will be the question as they head into turn 11 now for the second time in this feature race. Well, I'm sure be wanting to get rid of this wet weather as soon as they possibly can, but it doesn't look like it's going to be going anywhere for a while. Running out, just hanging in that second position, and Capex now has lost touch a little bit with his teammate as he just tries to ease it over that final corner. There you go, fastest lap of the race is a dry line. I can't believe I'm saying this, a dry line forming around the Bahrain circuit and Zonad into the pit lane. So you would have to imagine maybe a little bit of damage there for the McLaren as Brick Brown is now under attack, not from just one but two cars. The Red Bull having a little look as well. 7 around the outside. The Ferrari looking to make the move into turn 2. Has the move done. Turn 3 on the exit. He's got that move done. Very nicely performed there from the Ferrari. But can Brick Brown have an immediate answer? Does the Red Bull have a response? They make contact heading into turn 4. They both go a little bit wide. Does that invite the Red Bull of Shermer, who we haven't seen much of this race? He can't quite move himself up into 11th position as of now. Stays in that 12th position as the rain continues to fall around this Bahrain circuit. We're on board now with Young, who's just lost a little bit of touch as Mark heads up the hill. Frenny loves that inside line. Mark shooting for that outside line, and I think it's Frenny that's really nailing that part of the track just there. The Williams trying to use the corner to his advantage, but Frenny's saying, no bother, I'll go ahead and take the shortest way around that section of track, and it seems to be paying dividends so far, but Frenny just is maintaining about half a second back of the Williams. 7/10 now is the gap, so slowly coming under attack is the Williams, as Young now the fastest man out on the track. The Mercedes coming over the line at 39.7 for the lead. Silver Arrow with his teammate Capex, championship favorite, behind him. You would have to imagine this is a big confidence boost for Young here to be able to finish ahead of his teammate that has been almost touted as the eventual champion of this division. He had a shot last season, didn't quite come off for him. Here's the move. This is for 10th position. 7 just having to hang on down the inside at turn 4 as they head now through turns 5, 6, and 7. The Ferrari just managing to hang on as of now. But back at the front, Mark is really having to defend from the Williams. Plants the car on the apex. The Williams and the Ferrari making contact. This is for the lead of the race here on lap number 4. Not to be this time around. That rear wing is open. It's not often that we see the DRS stay active while we race with the intermediate tire. Very, very rarely do we see that, but conditions must just be dry enough in order to make that a reality. Mark now is really going to have something to contend with. That rear wing is able to open time and time again. You would have to imagine that at some point that Williams battery is going to run out of juice. The Ferrari might just power its way past. Elsewhere out on the track, Young is having a little look at the trailing Williams of Dillon. This is a move on the straight. I don't think he's got the straight line speed. Tucking back in to the racing line. Goes to Silver Arrow. No, he does make the move. Down the inside, the Williams ran wide and through into 4th position. Goes what is currently the fastest man out on track. The Mercedes getting that move done. Capex might have that move done as well. Not this time around. He had a little look, trying to make sure that that Williams lost 2 positions in 2 corners to 2 Mercedes. Didn't quite come off for one of the championship favorites, but Capex having a little look to the outside around the hairpin, maybe trying the switchback, not working on that occasion. Still in 6th position resides the trailing Mercedes as Mark and Frenny just getting a little bit closer here on this final DRS straight of the lap. With 24 laps to go, the question becomes, when do the pit stops take place? As you see, bottom of your screen, still light rain for at least the next 15 minutes. You would have to imagine that there is no sign of this weather letting up anytime soon. And decisions to be made for a track that we really don't see these kind of decisions have to be made all that often, as Capex now attacking the Williams, looking to get himself into the top 5. Around the outside goes the Mercedes, and he might just have that move done, but he's going to get the DRS as well, as both drivers able to open their rear wing. So that's one of those rare occasions where I think that both of them came through the detection point at the same time. Capex into 5th position has the move done, secured now on the exit here of turn 2. He's going to try and solidify his position inside the top 5. Elsewhere out on track, Brick Brown is still battling with the Ferrari of 7, who maybe hasn't made the kind of inroads that we would have expected of him here this evening, that he would expect from himself. Looking to rectify that now, but Brick Brown able to carry the speed around the outside as he just tries to hang on to 10th position, but the Ferrari might just have the move done. They're wheel to wheel on the exit of the corners. That is the Aston Martin of NASCAR Freak. We've lost the Aston Martin of Hicks as well. The yellow flag is out. There's no safety car for that one. So Hicks out of this race here on lap number 6. A brutal end to what was such a favorable start to tonight's session has ended in tears. Down at Aston Martin, Brick Brown looking at an immediate response to that move by Ferrari, and up into 9th position he goes. A very quiet race as well from the Alpines. Ted and Miggy have just slowly promoted themselves into 7th and 8th. They've done a great job of not really getting into too many wars. They've been just slowly gaining their way up the field. As Ted a little bit squirrely there on the exit of the corner, and into the pit lane goes Ted. So we've got a few early stops here. It's wheel to wheel for the lead of this race. Freddie and Mark battling once again. Freddie forced off the track. He'll say he was pushed. Mark will say that was a fair racing move. Down the outside goes the Ferrari, and they will continue to battle this one out, banging wheels on the entrance to turn 5, and just enough contact for the Ferrari to get the move done. But meanwhile, while all this is going on, the 2 Mercedes have moved into 3rd and 4th place, and could they really cause a stir in this top 2 come the end of this session? Time will only tell. On lap number 7 now, this is a crucial part of the race. Who has tires? Who has strategy? Mark has a move for the lead, and he might have just not had that one come off. They made contact yet again, the Ferrari and the Williams, the 2 coming together as they have so often here. But they have invited Young back into this contest. The 2 Mercedes getting ever closer to continuing to make an impact here on this race. As Young just pulls up to the trailing bit of this, who once the fastest man out on the track, now sees himself in 3rd position, eyeing up a move at the 2 who've been battling for so long. Mark with the power of the drag reduction system into the lead once more, and he'll get a second toast, but he runs wide, does the Williams. That could just invite Freddie to have a little look at the lead once more, wedging his way through. The Ferrari has the DRS. The Ferrari might just have the lead once more. Not if anything that Mark has to say about it, but he's just going to have to hold station in 2nd for the time being, as Young is just waiting for a moment's opportunity to pounce on this battle that has been raging on for so long. We saw it so many times in the sprint race. We've seen it so many times already here just on lap number 8. With 29 laps available to us, we still have a long way to go on this track. Marquez might just have to adopt a attack to defend strategy, as he may just need to try and chase after Freddie in order to go ahead and just promote himself even further up the grid. Elsewhere out on the track, we've got Santi and Miggy after the stop earlier from Ted, who's on the medium tire now. So a slick runner out there, and we'll just have to keep an eye on those times. And I think, if my eyes don't deceive me, I've just pulled up the telemetry on my left-hand side. He might just be moving up the grid a little bit. Slick tires might be the answer here. Ted is continuing to make inroads, a 4.2 second gap as the leaders come across the line. We'll keep a pin in the Alpine's progress. 4 seconds now. Ted is flying. The slick tires could be the viable option here. Intermediates as we see another move as Mark just tries to fend off the attack from the Mercedes behind. Could Mark maybe do the unthinkable? Could he just make the move? One of the leaders onto the slick tire rather early. He's really now struggling on this intermediate tire. Ted now past the Red Bull of Pigeon, past the Haas who's in the pit lane of Mo. And I'm telling you right now, if anyone on the track is listening, slick tires seem to be the preferred option at the moment. If you can keep it between the white lines, the light rain doesn't seem to be a factor. How much of a gamble is that from Alpine, and how much could it pay off in the context of this race? 14 seconds is the gap from himself to the Racing Bull. Ahead of him, as we're still riding aboard with Mark, who's really squirrely, out of turn 12 and into turn 13 they go. That's a place gifted to the Mercedes of Young. He's going to fight this one out, is the Williams, but I don't think he's going to be able to get it done. He does have it done. What an impressive defense from the man who's continuing to hold on to second place, who will be daring to head into the pit lane. They're both heading into the pit lane. Look at this. Well, I think Young was actually trying to make a move down the inside. Mark was trying to head into the pit lane. Let's see what the Williams elects to do. Both Williams now into the pit lane. A 10-second time penalty to 7. Speeding in the pit lane, Ferrari have signaled their man in as well. The two Mercedes are fighting it out for second position. Could it be the medium tire? It's going to be a fresh set of inters by the looks of things down at Williams for both Williams as things stand. So nobody else making the move onto the mediums. And I gotta be honest, I think Ted may have broken. I have no idea what Ted's done, actually. He's somehow managing to keep this out on track. He's not setting a fastest lap yet. We'll go ahead and actually... So Ted's previous lap was a 140.4. That lap right there from Zonad. The intermediate tire, 139.3. So still a little bit of a difference between the two. And maybe just the fresh rubber as Ted continues just to kind of dwell in 12th position. Very, very interesting how this is playing out here. The rain maybe just picking up a little bit more, making that medium tire not as viable. You see the raindrops just coming down a little bit more on this circuit, but still rain for another 15 minutes is what the telemetry indicates to us. So adverse conditions still, as it's going to be only one Mercedes into the pit lane. Capex is Frenny. A 10-second time penalty for the race leader is not what he would have wanted to see. Frenny into the pit lane. A fresh set of intermediate tires goes on that Ferrari. Miggy into the pit lane as well. Capex also doing the same. Fresh intermediates for him, but for Frenny, the story of this stop is the 10-second time penalty. Really, really hampering his progress here. That one will be difficult to swallow down at Ferrari. Both of their drivers with the 10-second time penalties. You would have to imagine now that Mark is going to just be able to breeze past the Ferrari, but he's still going to make it difficult, is the Ferrari. And they're going to bang wheels on the entrance to corner 4. Zone out another 10-second time penalty, and out of this race is the McLaren. Fastest lap for Mo, 138.9. So the track may be drying ever so slightly, but he's not quite found a way through just yet. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and just keep tabs on the progress of Aero Knight, who is yet to stop, have either kicked Salva, so they're going to need to work this one out down at the Italian outfit. Which one will come in first, Brick Brown or Arrow Knight? They are both sandwiched with each other in third and fourth. You would have to imagine the lead man will have the first right of refusal into the pit lane. And we'll have to see what decision Brick Brown makes. And I would have to say, Arrow Knight's tires don't exactly look as good as Brick Brown as Arrow Knight. There you go. They're going to do the swap at Kick Salva. Into the pit lane goes Young. Santi, Arrow Knight as well, participates in this round of pit stops as Shermer now into second position. So 3-second time penalty for the Red Bull. But again, we haven't seen too much of here this evening, but he's found his way into third position. And in some tricky conditions out there, it's a good race so far for the Red Bull, who would just look to eke these tires out a little bit farther. Capex battling with Mark, and Mark's into the wall. That is a huge collision. And it looked like Mark maybe just got the braking a little bit wrong. Did Capex get the braking a little bit wrong? Decisions will be, I'm sure, made in the steward's office after this race. Comments exchanged in the chat as well. But for the time being, that is Mark severely hindered in this one, missing a significant portion of that front wing. But the Williams, who's had such a phenomenal afternoon, is really going to have to summon some greatness here to head into the pit lane, maybe do a stop he wasn't planning on doing to hang on to a top 5 finish here. He will be looking at that Mercedes garage as he heads into the pit lane, maybe beaming some glares as this Mercedes of Young is right on the gearbox of the other Williams. Saw an incident between a Mercedes and a Williams before. Hopefully we don't get the same again, but there's Mark, you see, just limbering around the track and electing not to head into the pit lane. So he's lost a 1.5 seconds on this lap, but electing to stay out here on lap number 13, maybe just to help his teammate and just play a little bit of defense. Dylan into 5th position. They go wheel to wheel behind. It's Mark and Young. Young has to take evasive action through the gravel. Staying in 7th position as things stand is the Argentine. As we have a slight lull of the race. However, Seven and Ted are getting reacquainted as Ted, the medium tire is working so well. Has since not really had the same impact here on lap number 13. They have really struggled to keep temperature in that tire down at Alpine, and he's maybe going to lose yet another position here. Into the hairpin they go. Nothing doing just yet, but the kick salva of Arrow Knight. Fresh intermediate tires on that neon green car, you would think, can get him past the pink Alpine, and it does just that. Into 11th position now for Arrow Knight. A nice move done there, but still a long way to go if he wants a nice chunk of points here this evening. Meanwhile, Shermer and Frenny now having a little conversation for second place. Shermer yet to pit and does just that. Into the pit lane, maybe. Not quite. It looked like he was aiming for just that, but he's going to lose 2 positions on the straight as he moves from 2nd to 4th position. That intermediate tire, and he's yet to pit off of, not really helping his cause here this evening as Mark and Santi collide at turn 1. Doesn't quite come off just yet. Ready, find a way as Brick Brown now has the lead of this race. 7 in the pit lane, 10 in the pit lane as well. Mark has still yet to pit to maybe fix that wing damage, but this is the battle for 7th position as things stand, and elsewhere we've got the battle for 5th position as well. Dylan and Young having a little look into the downhill left. Such a difficult braking zone but he's just about nailed it. Dylan under pressure here from the Argentine once more, who maybe just nailed the corner a little bit better. The Mercedes to the inside, up the hill they go. He's gotten the move done just like that. The two Mercedes back into the top 5 once more, but by their standards, they will certainly be looking for an improvement, a double podium, their second of the season. If it does take place, will certainly be preferred here tonight. Mark and Santi continue to battle. Mark having such a phenomenal evening, and then that collision with Capex that I'm sure will be scrutinized heavily by the stewards, and after this race will, just as he heads into the pit lane, yeah, he really needed to fix that wing damage. You can see just how hampered that Williams was. And now we have ourselves a battle for the lead. Frenny into the lead of this race, holding off the Mercedes of Capex, who is currently the fastest man on track, but has to settle for second as it stands. We are just about reached the halfway point of this feature race. We've had multiple lead changes, we've had collisions, but yet to find ourselves behind the safety car. And something that is going to overshadow this entire race. Rain here at Bahrain has absolutely wreaked havoc on the grid. Heading up the hill once again. Dylan has Santi and Miggy now for company. We haven't seen too much of the lead Alpine here this evening after he was simply coasting into a top 10 position, but managed to just find his way up there and doing a very good job in doing so. And he make an impact here. Running into the pit lane, so the Ferrari is going to serve that penalty. He's going to get it removed, and yet another set of intermediate tires are going to head onto that Ferrari. Meanwhile, now we've got a battle between Santi and... Oh, as Dylan has spun. I didn't quite see exactly what caused that, but Dylan somehow found a way to spin on the apex of turn 1, and Santi is going to see himself into third position. So, as things stand, and it looks like it's going to stand this way for the remainder of the race, unless someone else has anything to say about it, we are on course for a Mercedes 1-2. We were looking last season at Mercedes, who didn't quite pull it together. The Ferraris were too good as a team, the same team they have this season, working extremely well last season, doing just about the same this season. Driver's title slipping away from them as well late on. Could this be their season in Tier 3? Could it be a well, not a back-to-back, but a second double podium finish of the season for Mercedes? What a finish it would be, a 1-2 around such a track that is very difficult to not to overtake on, but to hold position. It is very difficult to maintain any sort of gap, any sort of consistency around here. It's very easy to get caught up to find a way to just let that lead slip. It's Rick Brown now, the fastest man out on the track, as this is the battle for fourth position between Miggy and Arrow Knight. Arrow Knight, who has had to really fight that car for a majority of the night, but doing a very good job in fifth place at the moment, and just trying to maybe cement his place in the top 5 here. It would be a great night for the Saubas as well. They can just maybe clear the Williams in 6th place if they can get past the Alpine of Miggy. What a phenomenal finish it could be down at Kick Sauber. They would be loving life Still 12 laps and change to go in this race. Now still has Arrow Knight in his DRS and then immediately drops him. So there you go. I shouldn't have said anything. However, we do now have a battle for 6th position. This is Brick Brown, who showed us a ton of pace in the sprint race, but threw it all away on the final corner. Can't quite find a way past the Williams this time around, but will have the courtesy of DRS down this pit straight, and he might just have the move done well before the corner. Looking to the inside is the kick Sauber. The rear wing is open and through into 6th position. So, as it stands, we've got a lot of teammates together at the moment. The Mercedes in a 1-2 finish as it stands. Arrow Knight, Brick Brown, 5th and 6th. The two Ferraris could maybe use a little bit of rejoining on the track. We have lost both Aston Martins. We have lost the McLaren of Zonod as well. Only 3 retirements. Here's still 15 drivers out on track. Still position and will not pay out points. See there, just at the back, Pigeon Interception, the hard tire on both the Red Bull and the Racing Bull. We just have to imagine if that tire does become viable, as a few others have tried. Ted was on it earlier. It worked sensationally for about 3 laps, and then more rain opened up from the heavens and didn't quite pan out for the Alpine's race. He's currently sat in 12th on a fresh set of intermediate tires. As Dylan, that's a big one there. 3-second time penalty. Plenty of time penalties out there at the moment. Miggy with 3 seconds. Dylan with 3 seconds. Sherman with 3 seconds. Mo with 3 seconds. Pigeon 3 seconds. Ascension with 3 seconds. And the retired NASCAR freak 13 seconds as well. So that's just not the night to be driving an Aston Martin. Hicks had a sensational start to his evening. As here's a move. This is Arrow Knight getting past the Alpine of Miggy for 4th position, and I think Brick Brown is next in line to take over the Alpine's top 5 position. Look at him there. He is really flying at this stage of the race. Dylan into the pit lane, likely for a brand new set of intermediate tires to end this race on 10 more laps to go. You see Miggy squibbling and squabbling on the exit, trying to get the car to comply. Brick Brown is going to line up the Alpine in his sights. Ted has come out just behind. Dylan has come out actually just ahead of the Alpine in 12th position, so 9th and 11th for Williams at the moment. Certainly look to improve on his position as we carry on in the final 10 laps of this race. Santi momentarily is just getting a little bit closer to the Haas up in, or to the Mercedes rather, in that Haas for 2nd position. Aaron Knight still accompanied by the Alpine, who is also accompanied by the other Kick Sauber. It's a Kick Sauber sandwich at the moment with an Alpine filling as we now have 10 laps to go. Capex into the pit lane. So the race leader saying, I don't have the tires to get yet another 10 laps into this race. I need a few more laps and a few more tires. Where will he come out is the question. Can he stay ahead of the Red Bull? I don't think he's going to be able to. There goes Shermer into 6th position. Goes the Red Bull. And it could be that he needs to clear a lot of this traffic rather quickly. Will his teammate also be into the pit lane as well? That would be the question. But a 3-second penalty to Young will throw a little bit of more jeopardy in this race. It's this battle for 3rd position. Brick Brown has cleared the Alpine of Miggy. And a 3rd and 4th place finish for Kick Sauber here this evening. I'll be honest, I didn't have it on the cards, but I love to see it. These guys have really put on a show in weeks past and in the sprint race earlier. Here goes Brick Brown, maybe having a little look at his teammate. He's got that rear wing open, but looking just to tuck in behind what is currently the Kick Sauber as they head up the hill for the 20th time here in this race. We'll go ahead and just monitor the progress of Capex, who doesn't seem to be making too much of an impact as of yet, but a long way to go in this race. Nine laps to go. Young over the line. Miggy into the pit lane. And you would have to imagine this is a pass between the two Kick Saubers, and Brick Brown is still the fastest man out on the track, and he's into third place. A podium for Brick Brown on the cards here with 9 laps to go. Santi might just be having a little look at the Argentine in front. Under a second now is that gap as the rain continues to fall here around the Bahrain International Circuit. As he just tries to find whatever grip he can on this wet circuit. That outside line is the Mercedes, but nothing doing on this occasion. A few more into the pit lane. 10, Deception, just the same. Deception on the hard compound tire by the look, and out of this race. So saying that he just doesn't have the pace here this evening to keep with the field. Down to 14 drivers remaining. Deception, our 4th retiree of the race. This currently is our closest battle out on track. Capex has gotten past Shermer for 5th position, but a long, long way to go in order to catch the trailing Kick Sauber of Aero Knight. 7.1 seconds with 9, go ahead and say 8 laps to go as we're just about to start lap number 22. Young and Santi might just be having a little conversation for the lead of this race. Aero Knight into the pit lane as well, so tires here beginning to be an issue, as the 2-stop strategy seems to be the preferred one so far. Capex now the fastest man out on track, and could he see the Kick Sauber of Brick Brown head into the pit lane as well, promoting him back into the podium positions. But meanwhile, Santi now into the lead of this race, so you would have to imagine that the Haas has the tires required. 7 laps to go. How easy can this front 2 go on their old intermediate tires? Is Brick Brown maybe in a position where he has an opportunity to win this race? What a phenomenal, not debut race, but a second race in Tier 3 would it be for the newly promoted Kick Sauber to get himself a win in just his 2nd race since being promoted from Tier 4. It would be a sensational result, not just for Kick Sauber, but for himself as well. Under a second now is the gap from the Kick Sauber to the Mercedes. Half a second splitting the Haas and the Mercedes. Capex is 7 seconds behind this lead pack, and with now just about 7 laps to go, as there goes Young into the pit lane. It is going to be Brick Brown and Santi possibly for the win here, unless Santi might run out of tires as well. They'll be crunching the numbers down at Haas. They'll be trying to find a way to keep their man out on the track and get him a win here this evening. It would be a sensational result for Haas as well if they could come up with a win here in Bahrain, but Brick Brown just seemingly might have a bit better tires as they head down. The S is a true indicator of your grip level. Where is Brick Brown? He's staying right with that Haas as they head down the hill for the 23rd time. 7 now gets himself into the top 10. Mark into the pit lane as well for Williams, and just now exiting ahead of Mo in the Haas. So one Haas in the lead of this race, the other Haas hanging around in 11th, now 12th position as Mark is back out onto the track. Arrow Knight is going to go ahead and resume his fight down in 4th that he's been having with Young for the last couple of laps. But this is the lead of this race. Santi and Brick Brown, half a second splitting the two, but it just seems as though Brick Brown might have a little bit more life in those tires as he executed the perfect two-stop. That will be the question that Haas is asking themselves, that Mercedes are asking themselves. What was once a double podium down at Mercedes has been relegated to just the one driver now on the final step. But CapEx, man, with so much pace, still a lot of time to apply some pressure. Brick Brown having a little look, maybe running just a little bit wide out of turn 1 and 2, but he's certainly got a little bit of a run here at the Haas with that rear wing open once more. We'll just be saying, go ahead, pull me along. CapEx is going to have to just maintain his distance with the lack of the drag reduction system. Not a whole lot he can do at this moment in time. Here on lap number 24. And it has been a heck of a race. There really hasn't been a whole lot of battling the last couple of laps. It does have to be said. But nevertheless, it has been a phenomenal race to watch. There has been plenty of storylines going on here. As we're now on lap number 24, and Brick Brown has got that move done. The Haas just doesn't have the grip that he once did. Brick Brown into the lead of this race. And what a storyline this would be. Absolutely shot out of a cannon as well is the kick Salma now out of the final corner. What kind of traction does he have to maybe just try to survive this main straight? As there goes Santi, a little bit of a spin, and that's really going to relieve the pressure of the kick Salma, but invite the pressure of the Mercedes of CapEx, who's in 3rd and is now just about within a second of the man who's really lacking tires now. Does he have a flat maybe? It almost seems like he does. He's driving like those tires are really, really on the edge. And you can see the time that CapEx gets just on the straight. I can't really see it from here, but does the Haas have a puncture? It doesn't look like it at the moment, but those tires have certainly seen their best, and he's going to have to bring that car into the pit lane because there's no way he's going to be able to take those tires to the end of this race. Apex is just looking for the expedited way around. No way around through here. He's almost pushing the Haas out of turn 10. You would have to imagine now this will be a fairly easy move on the Haas for the Mercedes. To the inside goes CapEx, and into 2nd position he goes, the Mercedes, reclaiming what was once his spot. Will continue to be so. 3 seconds separating Brick Brown and CapEx. Neither driver has a penalty at the moment. Elsewhere on track, we've got a Mercedes and Kick Salva battling it out for 6th position as well, but that 3-second penalty to Young might pay dividends for Arrow Knight. He will maybe at this point see himself in 6th position. 4 laps to go. Brick Brown in the lead of this race, and you would have to imagine that he is going to be knee sliding across his room if he's able to go ahead and hang on to this win here. It would be, I think, probably one of the improbable wins that we have seen in a while. It's definitely not one of the household names, but he'll be making sure everybody remembers that Brick Brown won around the Bahrain International Circuit in the wet weather as well. I'd have to imagine that he is focused, laser focused, on the next 3.5 laps. As there goes the kick salva of Aero Knight, looking to make the move on the Mercedes, not this time around. This battle for 5th continues to rage on here on lap number 26. Young getting a little out of order, heading out of the hairpin, and Aero Knight might just see that. His eyes might light up. He's right on the gearbox of that Mercedes as they head through into the final DRS straight of the lap. Frenny to the inside, not letting Young get the slipstream that he might need to close in on the Ferrari. With a 3-second time penalty as well in 4th position, but it's not going to make too much of a difference as things stand. Still 7 seconds separating him and the Red Bull, as there's the Mercedes of Young. That's a move that we didn't expect. Mercedes and Ferrari wheel to wheel heading down to the final corner. Does Frenny have the move around the outside? It's Young still holding on. Frenny, can he keep the momentum around the outside? He doesn't quite do just that, as having to concede the position. Young maybe giving a little friendly tap on the way back, but Aero Knight has one move done. Is he going to have yet another move done? Yes, he does. Into 4th position now goes Aero Knight. What a move from the kick salve, and he's got the drive out of turn 2. And into turn 3 he goes into 4th position, but is Frenny with the rear wing open going to have an answer for it. The kick salve holds the inside line and has 4th place locked up for the time being, but we know how creative Frenny can get, as he's going to be under attack now from Young. Look at this battle for 5th position. Young has the move done. He squeezed himself past the Ferrari and has the move done well ahead of the hairpin. That Mercedes has really been through the wars. Now it reads kick salva, Mercedes, and Ferrari. Frenny losing out on 4th position as it stands. Does Aero Knight have what it takes to get into the 3 seconds that he might need to find himself on the podium? It's going to be a tall task. Nevertheless, we've still got 2 laps and change to find out. And speaking of which, look who has arrived to try and claim the lead of this race with 2 laps to go. Lap number 28 of 29. Rick Brown now challenged by the Mercedes of Capex. They head now through turn 3. How much battery has the kick salva saved? How much tires have the kick salva saved? Capex, on the fresher of the tires, will certainly have the advantage in that category, but Rick Brown just dragged this kick salva to the end, used all of the tires to see if he can find a way to hold on to his maiden victory here in Tier 3. He would absolutely love to take it home in what has been a very chaotic evening. Santi, a 3-second time penalty. That will not really do too much. The soft compound tire there for the Haas not really paying dividends, as Aero Knight is trying still to fend off the challenge from Young. The other Mercedes, both Mercedes, just about locked into battles here. This one for the lead, that other one for 4th position, with that 3-second time penalty to his name on the trailing Mercedes. Likely will undo most of his progress. Aero Knight has closed a 6.1 second gap, now 4.7 seconds. He just needs 1.7 seconds to find himself on the podium. That's if Shermer doesn't explore the track any further. Capex having a little look at the kick salva, has a little slide. Maybe just having to brake a little bit harder than he needed to. That will certainly hinder his progress down the main pit straight, but that rear wing open might just repair that damage a little bit. And Capex now, he's got the drag reduction system open. The rear wing has him into the lead of this race. Rick Brown just pushing the Mercedes through turns 2 and 3. Does he have an answer to this move from the Mercedes? The rear wing is open. You would have to imagine the battery is fully charged. Does Rick Brown have any answers into turn 4? Not this time. There's only going to be a couple more places to get a move done, but you can see there Capex maybe. Capex gets a 3-second time penalty. Oh boy. It's Rick Brown who's looking to the sky, seeing the rain come down and saying, Holy cow, how did CapX explore the track on the final lap and get that 3-second time penalty? A huge mountain to climb for the Mercedes now to try and lock in on this win. All Brick Brown needs to do is finish within 3 seconds, and he will win this race. His tires just at 80% now. They could pop at any second. As we head up the hill, he'll be gently guiding this car through the final sector. As here on the final lap, that gap is not going to be enough for CapX to take home the win. Brick Brown getting promoted just last week, having his first Tier 3 race, has endured the chaos tonight, has endured the championship challenge. Could he be the newest name on the block? CapX is going to come across the line, but it's undone for our race winner. Brick Brown wins here in Bahrain. Does Schrimmer hang on to third place? He's not going to. 2.6 seconds is the gap. 2.5 seconds is the gap to the final podium position. He will fall off of the podium. It's a double podium for Kick Sauber. What a race for the Italian outfit. Miggy comes across the line in 5th. Frenny gets the move done into 5th position for the Ferrari. Young demoted to 7th position. Santi in 8th will come across the line. Does Mark have any sort of speed to maybe just get some time penalty satisfaction? Nothing doing on this occasion. Mo as well across the line in 10th. 7 will come across the line in 10th. Ted into 11th position. Pigeon across the line in 13th. Dylan not finishing this race. And what a race we had on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. That was a heck of a finish we did not see coming. There you have it, a double podium for the Kick Saubas. You couldn't have scripted that one. That is the way this one ends. A last lap, 3-second time penalty, undoing CapX's win here this evening. The Kick Saubas from 11th and 16th on the grid make it a double podium for Brick Brown and Arrow Knight. Schirmer just falling off the podium of that, courtesy of that 3-second time penalty. He'll be head in hands, saying I could have just kept the car on track one more time. The one stop proving just enough for Kick Sauber to get their man into the winner's circle. But nevertheless, where we typically don't see rain, we had a absolute deluge. And another place where we typically don't see rain is next week's track. We head to Las Vegas, where we saw rain in real life. Will we see it in the game as well this time around? Until next week, thank you very much for watching. Same time, same place, same racing action. We will see you then.